Hello. This is my critical creative reflection for my ACE Media Studies coursework. My final product is a car engine magazine called Torque. It covers 3 different BMW engines beginning at the N20, the V8 twin turbo, and the B48. I'm going to go through all my 4 reflection questions, walk you through my process, and what I learned and how, as well as how it all came together. Before I made my magazine, I spent time looking at real car publications to understand how they're all set up, magazines like Motor Trend as well as Top Gear. As you can see, they follow the same structure, big bold title at the top, as well as one main image taking a majority of the page, and teasers would normally be on the sidelines, and the price would be there as well. If we come back to Torque, I followed majority of the conventions, seeing as my title is centered at the top in bold lettering. I have a main image in the center, the engine names are listed on the right as teasers, and at the bottom bar with sections like bolt-ons, ECU tunings, as well as dyno testing. The issue date and the price are also at the top. So structurally, I'm following what real magazines would do because these conventions exist for a reason. They guide the reader's eye and make the layout feel professional. Where I challenge conventions is the content itself. Most magazines do full car reviews and test drives. I went engine only. Every page of Torque is about what's under the hood and not the car around it. I think that was successful because the magazine is its own identity instead of being another generic car publication. For representation, my magazine targets young car enthusiasts who are interested in the mechanical side but might not know all the technical language. I wrote everything in a casual first-person voice because a lot of car media feels exclusive, as if you already need to know everything and to be a part of the conversation. I wanted Torque to feel like something anyone could pick up and learn without being talked down to. That representation of a younger, curious audience is something most car magazines overlook. The target audience for Torque is people around my age from 16 to 25, but if I'm being honest, everybody loves cars, so I wouldn't even have an age to stop at. It goes for everybody. I've seen a bunch of ages be in love with cars, but I'm not necessarily looking for people who already know everything about them, like mechanics or engineers. I'm just looking for people who are curious, and I was thinking about that the entire time that I was creating this. That's why I wrote in a way that I knew if I seen something like this and I was new to cars, I would immediately gravitate towards it. That's why I wrote like this. As you can see, I used real numbers so that when they're looking at this, they can really understand and get a grasp of what a dyno truly is when they decide to do further research in my magazine. That's also why I use my own photos instead of stock images. It makes the magazine feel a lot more relatable. If we can come over here, if I created Torque and it was a real media product, it would be digital first, because print magazines are way too expensive. I'm targeting lives online. The main platform would be a website where people can read the full issue, but you'd bring people in through a social media. So Instagram would probably be my biggest one because content's usually done there, especially car content. I could post all my engine bay photos along with short clips of noises with the exhaust, behind the scenes content with TikTok and YouTube, since they're short and nice and I can still get a lot of detail out of them. If we were to come here, we can see all my blogs. My blog practically works like social media because it's a real side of the publication. It shows the research, the progress, the photo shoots, over 35 posts from January through April. Real media companies post behind the scenes content to build engagement for the main product drops. My blog does the same thing. It lets the audience follow the whole journey, not just see the finished result. So if we were to come over here, you can see my beginning blog. They're practically basic. Majority of the text was just about the engine that I wanted to cover and speaking about my past. As the project went on, the post got way more focused. I included specific engine codes, real specs, and details from a multitude of sources. Each post had a clear topic instead of being a random update. The writing was tightened up because I actually understood what I needed to speak about. I wouldn't say this one is the best example, but they're all here. If we were to come back to my presentation, you can see here, as the project went on, my photography also improved. I did it sideways here. This is my favorite engine, but that's something we can touch on later. Early on, I was just snapping quick pictures on my phone, but by the time I was ready to make this magazine, I was using my friend's X4 to take a picture. With the M Performance engine, I was thinking about the lighting and the angles, and I learned that overcast days work best because there's no harsh shadows on the engine cover, and shooting straight down into the engine bay gives you the clearest view of the layout. Design was where I grew the most because I never had a magazine layout before. The first versions were overlapping text, fonts that were too big, and the table of contents with only 3 items that looked very empty. I fixed the table of contents by adding sections like editor note, a tuning guide, dyno day, a reader build, so it felt like full publication. The text issues took multiple rounds of resizing before everything fit. I also ran conflicting specs with different sources online and had to cross out everything. That taught me not to just trust the first result you find. I used several technologies. Let's go over here. Bloggers, where I documented the entire process from across 35 posts from January throughout April. It gave my teacher a clear timeline on how I have developed this project, and it has grown with me. Canva, again, was my main production tool. I used it to design the final magazine. I practically did a drag and drop. The dark background with the amber accent was a deliberate choice to match the industrial mechanical feel, while also keeping the beauty of it, because I think this is really gorgeous, in my opinion. For photography, I decided to use my camera with no lighting, just natural light and good angles, mostly brightness and contrast, so the engines were like better to see. I kept them minimal because I wanted the engines to feel real and authentic. As you can see, all the dust on my engine. For research, I used Google to find engine history, specs, and automotive sites. As we can see, this was one of them actually, but it didn't go into detail as I'd like. All these technologies work together. From the blog tracked my process. Google gave me accurate content, my iPhone gave me original photos, and Canva brought it all together with something that looks even realer than any regular magazine. The blog built my connection, and the photos added authenticity a different way. And the design, for me, feels as if I've created something with professional credibility, as you can see here. I went in very detailed, and I'm very correct with all of these. I've done a multitude of research. So that's my reflection. It started because I loved BMWs since I was a kid, and I wanted to learn about what was actually going on under the hood. I'm proud of how Torque turned out because it does exactly what I set it out to do, which was make engine content accessible and interesting for people who are just getting into cars. Thanks for watching.